gentlemen, to Longbox Chronicles Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out an animated film from 2007. That movie is Superman Doomsday. Now, as much, guys, as I would love to say that I have the highest of hopes going into this movie, a few things are leaving me a little bit worried about the quality of this film. First of all, I do have to mention that yes, this is a direct-to-video animated film from DC Comics, and those have got a stellar track record for this series. But I do have to mention that out of this recent run of direct-to-video films, this one was the very first, and I'm not sure if they got it right the first time through. Now, that honestly is a minor worry, and it's probably a baseless worry as far as I know. But one thing that is leaving me a little bit concerned is the runtime allotted and exactly what they're trying to adapt here. You see, this movie is trying to tell basically a loose, at least from what I've been told, it is a loose interpretation of everything in the Superman comics from Doomsday showing up all the way up to Superman coming back from the dead. That took over a year in the comics, spanning numerous books. There were so many issues that covered Superman's death, funeral, and resurrection that it doesn't quite feel right to even think that you could attempt to tell a story of that fucking magnitude in less than an hour and 20 minutes, and that's exactly what this movie is going to try to do. I have no idea if they are going to pull it off and make it work for such a short, runtime. I'm certainly hoping that they do, and the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Superman Doomsday. You know, guys, I normally am not one who likes to, whine about art in animated films, but there is something about Superman's look in this film which is starting to bug me. I think maybe it's the fact that he has these freakish looking fucking cheekbones that just don't fit his character model at all. It is certainly something I'm going to have to get fucking used to, but right now it just looks kind of freakish and looks ridiculously out of place on the character's face, you know what I mean? Well, guys, I can definitely say this much. The fight between Superman and Doomsday ended a hell of a lot more epically here than it did in the fucking comics. That was... Wow, I was not really expecting that. That was one hell of a way to end a fucking fight, though. So Kevin Smith had a cameo in this, bitching about Toyman using a mechanical spider. That was awesome. I really fucking liked that, guys. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. So the Superman clone's a little bit more vicious than the usual Boy Scout. Shockingly, I'm actually kind of sort of digging it. You know what, guys? I honestly wasn't really sure if this final fight between Superman and his somewhat evil, clone was going to be any good. No, this fight is fucking awesome. In fact, it actually is even better than the Superman Doomsday fight from earlier in the film. This thing's fucking amazing. Well, guys, that was Superman Doomsday. Let me shut that off. Okay. I think I should start by mentioning that earlier this year I did a review of Green Lantern First Flight, and in that film I said that movie, at least in terms of all the direct-to-video animated DC films, probably had the highest body count. Had I honestly have known that this thing was as gruesome as it was, I wouldn't have made that fucking claim. Besides the fact that we have besides the fact that we have Toyman killing people, we have Superman's evil clone. That's really not even a spoiler. That's something that you kind of figure out the moment that you see, Superman come back. He is mowing down criminals. He's killing military personnel. He's killing tons and tons of clones of himself. Just there, guys, is such a massive on-screen body count. And of course there's also the fact that Doomsday is on this absolute rampage as he's working towards the fucking city. It's like, this thing, guys, probably has the largest on-screen body count, if not the highest body count in general in terms of these animated DC films. I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting something this violent out of a Superman film. And believe me, guys, this sucker is really frickin' violent. I mean, again, I'm so used to the, prissy Boy Scout Superman, and the very fact that this thing's got as much bloodshed and as much death as it does, I was kind of shocked. Mind you, that honestly isn't a bad thing. I was pleasantly shocked to see that this thing took a rather dark turn way early on. It really is the only way that you can tell this, you can tell the whole Doomsday death of and return of Superman arc and do it right. Now, I mentioned at the start of this video I was worried about the runtime, because this movie runs just under an hour and 20, and it's basically trying to do a cinematic adaptation of over a year's worth of comic books. And I'm going to tell you, they did a fantastic job whittling the story down to an hour and 20 minutes. Part of that, and I was sort of thinking about it as the movie was going on, when they first published that story arc, there was a mountain of fluff and bullshit that could have easily been cut out with absolutely no fucking consequence. A lot of it was actually Superman's funeral, which took months in the comics to run through, and here the funeral was over and done within just a few minutes. It was done really, really well, and it actually was a very touching funeral scene, and there also is another scene later on that actually is going to rip your heart out of your chest. It is a very powerful and very, very touching scene. Writing here, guys, is incredibly strong. I really loved how every character was written. I love how every character was fleshed out. I kind of like how they actually gave Jimmy Olsen a nice little character arc, and that's something that you almost never see in any form of medium, is Jimmy Olsen being given something outside of, he's just fucking Superman's pal. Like, that usually is about as far as it goes. Here he actually has a subplot that's dedicated to him, and it's done really, really well. Our characters here are written very, very well. The action here is written incredibly well. I do have to give props to the fact that they wrote in a character, brought in Kevin Smith to voice said character. The character's one line is to basically mock the fact that Toyman was using a giant robot, spider. Anytime, guys, that you can get Kevin fucking Smith to essentially talk about the robot spider is always cool with, me. I really loved that. Writing here was fantastic. Acting. I will say the acting here is incredibly strong. I cannot think of anybody who failed at turning in a reasonable showing. I do have to give high props to Anne Heche. She's probably one of the best. She gave one of the best performances of Lois Lane I've seen in a long fucking time. It was absolutely amazing. And that also, guys, she honestly is not the only one I can give mad props to. I mean, I can talk about the fact that Adam Baldwin's Superman was amazing, and that James fucking Marsden's Luthor was great. I can talk about how Cree Summers was able to do something a little bit new with Mercy and make her a really awesome character for the short time that Mercy's in the film. Just every single actor came in and they turned in a magnificent showing. This guys is one of the reasons why I love these DC Comics direct-to-video films, because the acting is almost always spectacular and amazing, because they are always able to get great casts to come in and absolutely blow every single person away with how well they are able to do these characters. It is just amazing. Our acting here is great. Animation here is really good. I do have to comment, and I know I mentioned it earlier, it still looked weird. For some reason, this movie has characters who look very similar to the way that the characters were drawn in the Superman animated series, Bruce Timm's Superman animated series. The problem, every single character looked fine, but I still have to comment on Superman's his fucking cheekbones, like, because he has these really oddly drawn cheekbones on his face, and they look ridiculously out of place. Not only that, but they also make the character look far older than he probably is supposed to be. And you could probably have animated the character without those cheekbones, and the character would have looked infinitely better. He would have looked so much better. It's that one little detail that just sticks out. It looks so ugly, and it makes the character look so... Again, guys, it really does age, Superman in a way that where everybody else looks like they might be in like their late 20s or maybe perhaps their early 30s. It makes Superman look like he's in his in his early to mid 40s, which just doesn't look right to me. It looks way off with the character. Again, I am kind of surprised I'm making this big a deal out of something as minor as cheek lines on a character, but it really stood out, and no other character has this sort of flaw. Every other character is drawn really well. Every other character is actually like drawn and colored, and everything else is done really well. The only issue is Superman's cheekbones. But again, that also is a minor nothing, and as you're watching the film, you really are not going to care about. You are not going to care about that because you're going to be so sucked into the story. But it is still something worth mentioning because I do see it as a small flaw. Our sound mix here is good. Our score, oh god, our score in this film is so great. The music in this movie is amazing. Color work is good. Lighting effects, there actually are a handful of small lighting effects, especially in the final battle between Superman and his clone. There's tons and tons of lightning everywhere, and it all looks amazing. Ultimately, guys, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Superman Doomsday? Fuck yes, I can. This thing, oh shit. Guys, I have been worried about watching this thing. Ever since it first came out, when I first found out that it had such a short runtime, and that honestly was a fear I should never have bothered with. I guys have been thinking about watching this movie ever since it came out in 2007. That is 8 years? Yeah, that's 8 years. 8 years I've sat here worried because I didn't think that they would be able to do the fucking storyline justice in such a small runtime, and they proved me completely and totally fucking wrong. I actually am kind of sort of embarrassed that I didn't watch this thing sooner. This movie is absolutely amazing. This thing, guys, ranks up as possibly one of the best DC animated films out there, which is saying a lot because I've loved almost every other one of them I've seen. Well, I have loved all of them I've seen to various points. This sucker ranks way up there. I mean, it may very well be my third, possibly fourth, favorite. It totally ranks that high up. The movie is absolutely worth, watching, and if you haven't seen it yet, please by all means check it out. The movie is that fucking good. Now, Superman Doomsday came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Robert. Please, guys, by all means, swing on over to Robert's Amazon profile. Check out everything that he has written there. Robert, dude, I thank you. I was trying to find a movie. I was trying to find, the perfect sort of movie to close out Longbox Chronicles Month this year. And when I saw this sitting in my big pile of movies I've got here that have been sent in by viewers, I knew this was the perfect movie to end the month on. And I probably would not have had it. I probably would not have had the option of watching it if you hadn't sent it in, and for that, I thank you once more, guys. Please swing on over to Robert's Amazon page, check out everything that he has written there. My God, this thing was awesome. And as is the usual thing with all of these DC animated films, it comes with a handful of bonus episodes from DC animated shows. In fact, I'm actually looking at the episodes here, and all 4 of these are amazing Superman episodes. I'm going to go fucking watch these, because it's been a long time since I've seen any of these episodes. In fact, 3 of them are my 3 favorite Superman episodes of all time. So fuck yeah, I am totally going to jump on that. And this sucker is going to be staying in my Blu-ray collection for a long time. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.